Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a rapping, a tapping on my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, "tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more." I distinctly remember it was bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly had I sought to borrow from books and secretes of sorrow, sorrow of lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden whom angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with some fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now, to the still beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor "'tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger. Hesitating then no longer, "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened the wide door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was broken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there was spoken was whispered, the word "Lenore." This I whispered, and echo murmured back, the word "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," I said, "surely there is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then, what there it is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least bit of obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mine of lord and lady perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. Perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad face, turned to smiling. By the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on night's Plutonian shore." And quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl, to hear discourse so plainly, through its answer little meaning, little relevancy lore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing a bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpted bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke that one word as if his soul in that one word did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely moved and muttered, our friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling, all my fancy turned to smiling. Straight I wheeled the cushioned seat in front of the bird and bust and door. Then upon velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking, what this ominous bird of yore, what grim, unghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant croaking nevermore. This I sat, engaged in guessing, yet no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with lamplight gloating o'er, she shall pass, oh, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil prophet still, if bird or devil, whether temper set or whether tempest toss thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, let me truly, I implore, is there a balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back into the tempest night's Plutonian shore, leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken, leave me my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door, take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form of my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still sitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming through his shadows on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.